Coming up on Bounce News at 7, we're live with the Black lawmakers back in Tallahassee. Bounce News at 7 starts right now.
You're watching Bounce TV News at 7.
Now, it is breaking news right now happening overseas in Venezuela. President Hugo Chavez has died. He died this afternoon about 4:24 p.m. Hi, I'm Rockman Johnson, and you are with us, Bounce News at 7. Now, one of the vice presidents over in Venezuela has said the reason why President Chavez died was because it was a conspiracy from other nations. There have been so many speculations, but we do know that Chavez rose to power in 1999. He founded the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, and by founding that party, he really changed politics in Venezuela. He championed the poor and blasted capitalism, and what we do know as well is that he was a part of trying to find a way to bridge the gap between capitalism and communism, and became friends with the president of Cuba, Fidel Castro. And many, if they would have been betting people, would have thought that Fidel Castro would have died first, but it's Hugo Chavez that transitioned. And standing by on the phone with us, we have a member of the United States, a former member of the United States Foreign Services, Mark Garcia. And Mark, I understand that obviously Hugo Chavez's death causes some major issues in that country, and we know with Venezuela being a major oil producers, how does this affect the United States?
Well, you know, you hit the nail on the head when you said that Hugo Chavez was a socialist. You know, he fancied himself as the 21st century socialist and definitely a foe of the United States. And, you know, during his time in power, he tried to polarize, you know, a lot of the countries around South America, Central America. So the United States is going to be watching very carefully to see what the other nations do in relation to who his successor is.
Does this affect anything security-wise? I know there had been a report back last year the Obama administration had to expel one of the members of the diplomatic corps. Actually, the consul general of Miami was expelled because they thought she was doing activities that could be harmful to the United States. How does his death affect the security of our country?
Well, you know, immediately upon finding out about his death, I'm sure the U.S. Embassy started sending diplomatic cables out to the various posts. The intelligence agency started listening in to chatter on what's going on in the region, see if there's any military coup that could take over. And the U.S. Southern Command, which is located in Miami, is looking at their contingency plans as well to ensure that the security of the United States is maintained. But what you said was very correct, and the Consul General of Venezuela here in Miami, which has one of the largest Venezuelan states in South America, was expelled persona non grata from the United States some time ago.
Well, Colonel, we thank you so much for taking some time and giving us a little background on the situation. And you can check out our website, bouncenews.tv, where we'll have more information as it comes available on this breaking story. Again, Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela, dead at 58. And right now we're here at the it's the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce. I know you see everyone around me, you see the sign behind me, but we're here, the African American lawmakers are being honored tonight by the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce. And it's a wonderful deal because it's all about business and how business can be involved in the community. And for that, our Cole Robertson went behind the scenes to define what exactly is a minority.
Our country is currently being led by a biracial president. Hispanics have surpassed blacks as the largest minority, and there are more interracial couples than ever before. I asked Roland Reed, president of a marketing and research training firm, who exactly could be considered a minority or diversity group, and if the definition of that word was changing.
What is diversity? And when our company conducts training across the country, the way we define diversity are just differences. Now, what happens is we're all different, and that's what makes America beautiful, because we are truly a melting pot.
The divide between majority groups such as Caucasians compared to minority groups like African Americans and Hispanics has always been a large divide, but that gap is closing.
if you look around, there are people of all different races and colors standing amongst each other, interracial relationships. So I think that wall has been completely broken down.
According to the U.S. Census, the Hispanic population increased by more than 15 million people between the year 2000 and 2010, accounting for more than half of the 27+ million increase in the total population. That means the Hispanic population grew by 43% in just 10 years. Now, to put this in perspective of how it affects politics, let's take a look at the last 3 terms of U.S. elections. In Florida alone, the way the state as a whole votes has changed. In 2004, 52% of the state voted Republican. Now jump ahead to 2008 and 2012, and those numbers reverse. Florida, who in the past has predominantly been known for being a Republican majority state, is now voting for the Democratic Party. Despite the step towards equality of all groups in America, there are setbacks.
People have got to not believe just because somebody happens to have a different skin color that there's something inherently wrong with them.
Those are some of the things that we'll always have to work on, because even hopefully the day will come that, Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream will become a reality, that the ethnicity would go out of the way.
Now, of course, as we talk about minorities, here we are with the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce, and we have with us one of the a veteran here in Tallahassee, Senator Oscar Brandon from Miami, and you're in District 36 now. Your district is the largest or heaviest minority district in the state.
Well, it's the heaviest minority as far as African Americans. There's a district that has, I think, 80% Hispanic in Miami-Dade, of course, but it's the highest concentration of African Americans in any district in the state of Florida.
Now, I got to ask you, being that you're from Miami, there are a lot of Latin Americans in Miami. You've heard Hugo Chavez passed away a few hours ago. What do you think that means about trade for the U.S.? I know there's a lot of trade and things like that go on in Miami. How does that affect the United States?
Well, there are plenty of people who invested, who divested from Venezuela and moved to Miami because they didn't like the Hugo Chavez regime. So I think we need to see what happens with that and see if some of those people decide to reinvest in Venezuela, and which would mean we'd lose some capital here in South Florida.
Gotcha. Now, obviously the legislative session started today. There aren't many people that look like you in the Senate. What are some of the priorities that you have for the Senate, and being here, what does this reception mean to you, and how can it help those priorities?
Well, for me, the biggest thing right now, and the biggest thing in my district, is the election reform. In my district, we had some of the longest lines for early voting, some of the longest lines on election day. We had people who didn't vote till 12:30 that night on election day. So we're looking to change, to roll it back to what we had and basically fight for our right to vote. We have Dessalene Victor, who was a 102-year-old woman that the president recognized. She's from my district. She was at a polling place that I spent a lot of time at, and I've named one of my bills, which will basically get us back to the way we were voting before, the Dessalene Victor Free and Fair Act, and that's a big one for me. That's Senate Bill 888. And we've got some other things, expansion of Medicaid, because healthcare is very important to our community, and I also have a bill helping the Dolphin Stadium, which is the largest private employer within my district in Miami Gardens. So we've got quite a few things going on, and it's interesting that we're here.
Give me something quick. You're a young progressive guy, probably one of the youngest guys in the Senate. Very cool. Yeah. Tell me something just that I wouldn't know about what goes on behind the scenes in the Senate real quick.
Well, one of the things that you probably wouldn't know, you wouldn't know, even though the Senate is quiet, there's a lot of very funny jokes that go on. A lot of very funny jokes. And I think you'll see some of them if you come to the press skits at the Moon next week. So
we'll have to do that. Thank you so much, Senator, for spending some time with us. And we'll be back with more of their other senators, representatives. We also have a lobbyist from the banking industry coming up. And, of course, any breaking news that comes up about President Hugo Chavez, you'll have that as well. You're watching Bounce News at 7. We'll be right back. It's Bounce News at 7. I'm Rockman Johnson. We're here live at the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce. Reception for the African-American lawmakers back. It's the Doubletree Hotel. If you have a business, this may be where you want to be, so come down here. But first we need to check in and see what's happening with the headlines here in Tallahassee and around the country. And for that, Mika Highsmith back in the studio. Mika?
Hello, Rockman. Here's a look at your top news headlines. The parents of FAMU drum major Robert Champion speaking out tonight. Robert and Pam Champion say students deserve the upgraded charges they're now faced with for their son's death. Now, you may remember Marching 100 drum major Robert Champion was killed in November of 2011 during a band trip to Orlando. Investigators say Champion was killed by fellow band members during a hazing ritual. Monday, State Attorney Jeff Ashton in Orlando announced he was charging 2 more defendants and upgrading the charges against a total of 12 people to manslaughter. Take a listen now to Pam Champion's reaction.
The word hazing itself does not depict what has been done to my son or any other individual. The word hazing itself puts a very light turn, as you can see. Sometimes people don't take it as seriously as what it is, but it certainly is much more serious than the word depicts. So you just have to lift that off of the top of what's been done. Then you have the true idea of what happened.
Now, the manslaughter charge carries a penalty of up to 15 years in prison. The move could put pressure on the 12 defendants to agree to a plea bargain before the cases actually make it to the courtroom. And Tallahassee police need your help finding a missing child. Take a good look. This is 15-year-old Jodette Locke. She was last seen yesterday in the area of Godby High School. Jodette is 5'2", 135 pounds. Police say at this time foul play is not suspected. And new details in the double murder-suicide that happened in Cairo last month. Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents say 38-year-old Jacinto Alguin shot Jose Reyes Beltran and Aliro Ramirez, then killed himself. It happened at a home on the 8th Avenue Northeast on February 16th. The motive tonight is still unknown. Well, that's going to do it for your news headlines. Let's head over to Casanova Nurse now with a look at your forecast. Cass?
And we're back. Bounce News at 7. We want to make sure that you can be a part of the conversation. It's a very simple thing to be a part of the conversation. You can follow us, bouncenews.tv, facebook.com/BounceTV Tallahassee, or you can tweet us at BounceTVTally. Right now, we'll make sure that you get all the information and we can get your questions in the mix. Now, we're here live at the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce reception for the African American or Black Caucus lawmakers, and here we have with us a lobbyist, and we want to demystify lobbying. We talked a bit last night with a young lady who was with a law firm, but you actually represent an association. This is Kenneth Pratt, and Kenneth, you are the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Bankers Association, yes?
That's correct. That's correct. And I prefer to be called an advocate, if you will. I mean,
I love it.
I think that's kind of the kindler, gentler term, if you will.
Well, you know, lobbyist is such a loaded and bad word. Why is that? Why do people think lobbyists are so bad?
Well, I think traditionally folks have looked at what the lobbying profession, some of the lobbying profession, and you're always going to have some bad apples, as in any profession. And some of the more publicized lobbyists have been in a lot of trouble, and they've done some unscrupulous things, and so I think that's where that comes from. But I think the legislators and the folks that are in the process, and even many folks that are outside of the process, realize the value that lobbyists can bring to the process.
How'd you get involved in lobbying? I know a little bit, did a little research, and know a bit about your background. You are a graduate of Florida State University, and you worked with the Obama campaign, actually running the Obama campaign for Florida. How did you go from that and being an attorney to being an advocate for different bills in the legislature?
Yeah, a long road, if you will, quite frankly. But part of it is dealing with campaigns, and working on the Obama campaign was one of the first major campaigns that I actually worked on. You learn politics, you learn people, you learn what it takes to build constituencies, that type of thing. So that's important as a ground piece, as a foundation, if you will. And then that grew from that grew a great opportunity to come here to Tallahassee, where I'm from. Actually, to come back here from Tallahassee because I was in Orlando, but I came back here to work for State Representative Geraldine Thompson, who now is in the Senate. And came here to work for her and learn the process, and that was how I learned, what a lobbyist is myself.
Give me a prediction. Obviously, you have been around the bills, you're pushing certain ones, and obviously it's important to see for the community to get involved on them, but give me some predictions on what's going to happen this session.
Sure. I think one of the main things that you're going to see, and I think we saw it today with the opening of session, is that there's going to be a greater opportunity to work with really across the aisle. Now, everybody says that we talk about that in the beginning of session, but I really feel like this year there's a real opportunity for that to really take place. I think part of it is that there is a need for Florida to differentiate itself, if you will, from Washington. And Washington is kind of in this stalemate, if you will, or in this position where they're not moving a lot, and it's very difficult for bills to move. However, Florida, I think, wants to differentiate itself from Washington and say, we know how to work across the aisle, and I think you saw that today, and I think you're going to continue to see that in the future. That's a big piece of it.
We'll be coming back to you for more information when stuff comes up. Thanks so much. Kenneth Pratt with the Florida Bankers Association, and we've got so much more. Also, there's a brand new segment coming up that we're going to share with you about living your best life and talk with some of the chamber officials. More on Bounce News at 7. We'll be right back. We're live, Bounce News at 7. We're here at the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce reception at the Doubletree, and I'm with Lila Jaber, who is the vice chair of the board for the chamber. Lila, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Tell me this, why is it that we need a minority chamber? What is it that requires this for us to have this?
Well, it's a great question. I think all chambers are great for the purpose of bringing attention to business issues. The Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce has concentrated on a 5-county area, and we're bringing attention to those issues that are unique to minority and women-owned businesses, but not necessarily unique to the state. The issues that are important to them in the minority and women-owned business arena are important to all Floridians.
How can, if someone wants to get involved, if they're a minority business that qualified, I know we talked earlier with your president of the chamber, how can people get involved with the chamber?
We have a website. It's mybbmc.com. We'd love for you to go to the website and download an application, and of course call us. We also have once a month President's Coffees around the 5-county area, so you're welcome to attend those.
And what are those 5-county areas?
It's Wakulla, Leon, Jefferson, Franklin, and Gadsden.
And how often, besides the President's Coffees, how often do you guys get together and meet?
We've just launched, so we're in our 6th month probably. So the reception tonight is critical to the success of the organization going forward, and what a wonderful time to bring legislative issues to the attention of the members of the legislature.
It really is. Vice Chair, Madam Vice Chair, thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
And we hope to come back.
Thank you.
Now, whether we're talking about the economy or healthcare or everything in between, it's all about living your best life. And we talked to you earlier about what it is to live your best life. And the last segment of each show, we really want to talk about how we can live our best lives to our fullest. And of course, just like you, I don't have all the answers. But together we can discover how we can live our best lives jointly. Now, it leads me to the first topic of your best life. When we talk about Florida lawmakers being back in session, it's time for all of us collectively to let our voices be heard. And when we think of our voices being heard, it echoes the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
But I must say tonight that I know that justice is indivisible. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
So when we think about justice and getting involved, it's important that we not only take that voice that we have, but use the voice that we have. Go online, get information, talk to your senators and representatives, talk to those people, and give everything that you can to make a difference. So we appreciate you joining us and spending some time with us here. And it's not just about the minorities at the Minority Chamber of Commerce, but remember, we're all in this together. I'm Rockman Johnson, live here at the Minority Chamber of Commerce event with the Black legislators at the Doubletree, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good night.